Hello there, my beautiful book lovers. My name is Kimia, and welcome back to my book nook. Today we're doing a video that I have been thinking of for a while, but I could never find the perfect time really to do it. And the other day I was thinking that like January, it's usually the time that most of us plan the year ahead and try to set some goals for ourselves. And so it's a perfect time to recommend some books that would help you to achieve those goals and to just, when you look back at the year, be a little bit happier about the result and be able to stick with them, to improve them, or to even find new goals, hopefully, that will make you to want to make those changes. So anyway, these books are not really about how to do a certain task or achieve a goal in a way per se, and most of them are really about proven ways that how we can improve as a person in general. And so I enjoyed every single one of these books, and I have been reading them throughout years, but this is the top 10 of those books that I feel have helped me the most and had knowledge that has stayed with me. And some of them are not even books that recommend a certain goal or task and how to achieve it, but it's really about humans and us and how to perfect this way of living and achieving goals. So anyway, let's get into them. First, we have Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones by James Clear. So I have read a lot of books about habits and how to create new habits, stay with them and whatnot. And this one was the one that really stayed with me because I felt that the exercises and the recommendation that it gives are things that I was able to incorporate into my life and stay with them. For example, one of the points that it's trying to make is that you should know who you are and who you want to be and put goals and create goals based on that. And so for me, I am not really an athletic person. I don't enjoy working out that much. And so even though for years I have been I will work out more this year, I never really stick with it. But then when I eventually realized that while I do not enjoy working out on my own, I do enjoy doing group activities. And so I ended up signing up for a class, and now I have been doing it for the 6-7 months or so now, which I'm really proud of it because it's the longest time that I have stick with exercising. So this is really the main focus of the book to figure out who you are, who you want to be, and use the 4 laws of change, that it's really have realistic, obvious goals and make them attractive to you, so you be able to be satisfied by the result. So if you're trying to start new habits or change the bad ones, I feel this is a great book to start with that. Then the next book is The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. So this is very appropriate to come right after habits, because when you start setting goals, one important thing is to learn to be okay with not being perfect, especially when you first start doing something. And this book, it's perfect for that. Brené Brown, it's one of my all-time favorite author, researcher. And in this book, she really talks about how we need to let go of this image and idea of perfect and perfectionism. And that's something that we can never achieve, because truly, no matter how perfect what you're doing, it's never perfect enough. And it also talks about the concept of shame and judging ourselves, others. And so I felt it's such a perfect and appropriate book to read right after habit, or at least right at the beginning of when you're starting the year to plan new habits, to really remind you that when you set a goal, do not give it a a certain amount of perfection that you have to achieve. And just as long as you're achieving it to a certain degree, it is good enough. So I think if you have, similar to me at least, have been dealing with perfectionism for me most of my life. This was a great book, and it has like, like case studies, personal experiences and stories, and it really shows how our brain also like works and affect us when we are constantly judging ourselves, and how it makes it so much harder to achieve our goals and to stay with habits, simply because like the second that we slip a little bit, skip a day or whatnot, we start to just like fully let go, because that shame that it's associated with it, it's so much and so painful that makes us to not want to do it anymore. So it's a great book to read at the beginning of the year. I mean, anytime, honestly, but at the beginning, simply because of the fact that it's a time that we're trying to make changes and try new things, and it's good to have this as a reminder that it is okay. You don't need to do it perfectly, especially when you start something new. Nobody expects you to do it perfect. You should not be able to do it perfectly. So that's okay. And then moving on, we have Daring Greatly, How the Courage to Be Vulnerable Transformed the Way We Live, Love, Parent, and Lead by Brene Brown again. This is another fantastic book. I mean, I highly recommend any books by her, but these two are really the top two for a list that it's related about, like changes and habits and everything of that. So anyway, this book, it's really focusing on the fact that how important it is for us to be able to show vulnerability with others. And that could be literally anyone, people that we work with, people that we are in a relationship with, any sort, like, family members, significant others, friends, because that makes us to be empathetic and to really form deep connections. Because like, if you think about it, honestly, like the person that you share the most with is the person that is closest to you and you feel the most closest and comfortable with. And the reason that I put this book in this list, it's because it reminds you that for us to be better, to do better, we need to make deeper connection with people around us. That does not include every single person, of course, but for people that matters. If you want to be able to achieve goals at your job even, it is okay to show some, I don't want to say weaknesses in that sense of like, not doing the right things or good enough, but in a sense of, if you don't know anything, you should not feel the shame or like any like bad feelings about asking another person, to be open about it, to show that side of you that needs help, to be able to ask for help. Or even when it comes to a relationship, if you want to feel more loved, more connected, more social with people around you, you need to be able to share with that, because I feel one of the most important goals that any person really needs to set for themselves every single year is to feel the love around you and express that love back, to have that sense of community, that social little like bubble, to be able to have your group that you can always count on. And this is a perfect book for that, to remind you how to do it, how to achieve it, and how to be that person for others. So anyway, if you're interested in those topics, I think this is a great book for that. Then moving on, we have The Miracle of Mindfulness, an Introduction to the Practice of Meditation by Thich Nhat Hanh. I think so. I'm sorry for pronouncing it wrong. So this book, it is fantastic. I myself am always stressed and anxious and just worry about 10,000 different things, similar to almost every single person out there these days. And I have a hard time to really sit and breathe and meditate, and was never able to like find the book or the podcast or whatever to really help me on how to do it. And this book was fantastic. I enjoyed reading it so much, because the book, it's really focusing on what is mindfulness and how to meditate, but not in a sense of to just like sit somewhere and take a deep breath, or like, like listen to some soothing music. Not that there is anything wrong with that, or that you cannot do anything. Those are some sort of meditation, obviously. But this book is really focusing on the importance of now, to be present, to really pay attention to every single task that you're doing during the day, to sort of like take the moment to appreciate just being here. And it's really like helpful in a sense of calming down yourself, or at least for me was, because like, you know, sometimes when I'm like, I don't know, washing the dishes or like vacuuming or like, I don't know, like driving somewhere, a lot of times your brain, being the being that does this all the time, and to start to think about other stuff and worry about things. And it's really good to sort of bring yourself back and start to just pay attention to whatever you're doing. If you're washing the dishes, you just like think about and really focus on the water temperature, to the soap bubbling up, and like, I don't know, like if the dishes are clean enough or whatever that it is, to just like to your like hands movement, to really just focus and try to bring back your brain and think about the thing that you're doing at the moment, and that really helps to calm you down. And so if you are a person that are struggling with that, or you want to this year be a better, calmer person, I feel this is a fantastic read for that. It's a pretty short book, and but it's very effective. I think it's so to the point that you don't need more, really. It gives you all the things and the tools that you need to be able to do it. And then after that, you can sort of like just add it to your routine. And I think it's a very important goal to set for ourselves, all of us, to just be a little bit more present and calmer and relaxed. And of course, I understand that like, you will never reach the level, as much as I want for all of us, honestly, to reach the level that we have no worries ever. That's impossible, but at least it will be good to get rid of the small worries that are really unnecessary, but we just do it all the time. So anyway, it's a fantastic book. If you think that you will need that, I highly recommend to give this book a go. And then moving on with sort of like decluttering of the mind that we were doing. Now it's focusing on the environment around us. And the book is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, the Japanese Art of Decluttering and Organizing by Maria Kondo. I'm pretty sure most people have heard about this book or have seen the episodes on Netflix. I think it was on Netflix, right? It was. So this book, it's very, very good in a sense of giving yourself some structure. I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video that with all of these books, you don't need to take every single tip to the heart and follow it to the T, but it's more about to just take anything that resonates with you and follow that through. And so, for example, especially with this book, it's really about how to look at everything that we own and try to minimize what we own, just because the clutter that it's around you will add to the clutter that it's in your head, and it's like adds to the anxiety, adds to the depression. And the way that the Japanese people do it, and especially she recommends, is to really look at everything that you do based on like categories, like, you know, like clothes, books, I don't know, like sort of like mugs and like, you know, like kitchenware or anything of that sort, and get rid of and give away anything that doesn't bring you joy. So I 100% agree with that idea. Where I have a little bit of issue with it is that the section that talks about books, specifically, she mentions that like you should own, I think she said 20 or 30 books, and then the rest, you know, to just give them away. And she was like, you know, just keep the top 20 or 30. And when I read that, I was like, excuse me, 20 or 30? The other day I was counting the books that I own, and I think I own more than 200 books. So I cannot, and I love every single one of them. So I am not getting rid of my books, and I'm pretty sure that most of you guys feel the same way. Or it could be about something else, you know, it could be about, I don't know, like anything that you collect or anything that like has a special place in your heart. So for me, the way that I took that tip, it was that like every once in a while I will go through all of my books, and any book that I haven't read for a while, or during the time that I read it, I enjoyed it very much, and then like the second time or the third time that I read, I didn't enjoy it as much, or I have changed, or like my style has changed and that book doesn't really brings me joy, then I will give it away. But I will not set the goal of like having 20 or 30, because to me that just like, no, I love to have books. They all bring me joy. So for me, I think that was the main goal that I or the tip that I took from this book, that was like really to get rid of anything that doesn't bring me joy. But there's no sense of like number to set a goal that I have to own this amount of things. I will try to not buy too much, especially about like honestly anything else. To books, it's a little bit harder, but even with books, I really try to not go too crazy and keep it sort of managed. But with everything else, because I feel like because I control myself when it comes to other stuff to not buy too much, when it comes to books, I'm like, well, I deserve it. So anyway, that's sort of a takeaway from this book, to really just get rid of the clutter and whatever that could means for you. So if you are sort of dealing with that issue, I think this is a fantastic read, and I still recommend reading it because it was very helpful for me to sort of manage the other aspect of my life and other items that I was owning. So anyway, the next book we have Remember, The Science of Memory and the Art of Forgetting by Lisa Genova. So this was another fantastic book. All of them are, honestly. So this book I included in this list simply because one of the goals that most of us sort of set for ourselves every year, at least for the book community, is to read more and hopefully to like learn more. And that's could be mean different things to any person, but to just like, sort of expand our knowledge. When you set that goal, it is so disappointing that like at the end of the year, you look back at the books that you read, and like for some of them, few of them, most of them, you might not even remember anything. And then you're like, why was that? Like, the whole purpose of reading these books was to learn something from them. Even if it's like a fiction or a fantasy, there was something to learn from like the world building, different culture or whatnot. And this book, it's fantastic for that. Similar to The Gift of Imperfection, that was a necessary book to remind you that like, you don't need to be perfect. This book, it's really teaching you that why it is very, very essential for us to forget things sometimes. There are limited amount of space in our brain to remember things, and we eventually need to get rid of some of that. And the brain does it on its own. We do not control or do anything about it. And so it is very helpful to learn that how and why our brain keeps some memories, information, data, and why it get rid of some of the rest. And I find it fascinating because it's really talking about how it is not only important and essential for our brain health to get rid of some of those info, but it also affects and help when it comes to things like trauma, to like, it's such a gift to be able to forget, to heal, and move on from it. So anyway, it's a fantastic book. I highly recommend it to be able to learn a little bit more about how our brains work when it comes to remembering things. And I think this is a perfect book, especially for like students in any level, really, because like, if you're putting a goal as to get a better grade, study more, it's very helpful to learn how to manage that and how to like, it helps a little bit with like how to study better in a sense. So if you have that goal, I highly recommend this book. And then staying with sort of our bodies and science, we have Gut, the Inside Story of Our Body's Most Underrated Organ by Julia Enderis. I believe so. I am butchering it. I'm sorry. This book, it is so fun. I swear to God, I'm a person. I do not like anatomy, like study anatomy. I just don't. But this book was so fascinating and so fun because she's a medical researcher. So she's basing everything on science. But the language of the book, it's so easy. And also there's all of these like little doodlings and like illustration to explain it more, that I was just having such a fun time reading this book. And it's really focusing on how our gut it's so important, not only for like, to like break down the food and digest it and give the vitamins to the body, but it really also affect your mood and our brain function and in general, like our well-being. And because most of us, hopefully, one of our main goals for every single year, it is to eat healthier and generally be healthier. I felt it's so useful to learn more about how our gut works and how to help it to work better and how we can, make it affect our mood in a better way, how to make us healthier, instead of like, constantly following different diets. Not that I have anything against it, there could be some that could bring you the result that you want, but generally speaking, every single person should be able to have, as long as you're eating healthy and getting your nutritions, you should be fine, right? So anyway, I think this is a fantastic book to sort of get that better understanding and learning a little bit more about your body and how to help, especially because again, even if your goal is for like this year to be in a better mood, to be happier, to enjoy your life a little bit more, it's fantastic because your gut really has a big impact on that. So it's a fantastic read. Just give it a try. And then this is a very good one. It is The Myth of Normal Trauma, Illness, and Healing in a Toxic Culture by Gabor Mate and Daniel Mate. This book, phenomenal. Oh my God. If you are a person that feel that no matter whatever you do, you can never feel happy or heal or move on, or always there is something wrong with your body, this is the book for it. It really dives deep. And again, it's all based on science and the research that has been done to show you that how the environment that we are living in, almost everywhere around the world, this sort of a hustle culture that we all are experiencing and the fast pace of like work, it's affecting us so much that a lot of the illnesses that we have, it's really related to that. And no matter how much you go to the doctor, you take your pills, you do like, I don't know, the exercises that they tell you, you still don't feel that you're healing and improving. So it's a fantastic book to really get into that, to learn how to move past the trauma, how to heal yourself, and how to do that to be able to sort of control any sort of illnesses and mood swing that you're experiencing, and how to realize that the world and again, the society, the environment that we're living, it's creating this normal that it is not the way that it was meant to be for any of us, for human beings in general. And it is helpful to sort of learn ways and like understand better how you can control it. Because like, while the normal, it's not normal in any way and it's not right, we cannot fully go against the flow because like, we all have like jobs that we have to do, rents to pay, and like schools to do, and like a lot of these systems are already set, and we cannot like from like 0 to 100 fully change it in a day by our own, but it's important to learn to do like little things that can help you and improve your well-being. So it's a fantastic read. I highly recommend it, and just give it a try. I'm pretty sure it will be another book that like, it will help you to set better goals for this year, to like be more realistic and look at it in a different direction. So anyway, fantastic book for that. And then the next one is The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. So I am an artistic person, or I like to think that I am, and so when I was like looking at like some books to read, I came across this one and I loved it. And I loved it not because this is a book for artists, but because this is a book for everyone, and it's not focusing focusing on art as a medium that it's specifically for like a group, or like, I don't know, like specific, even like just like one sort of an art, like, I don't know, photography, painting, or anything. It is not any of those things. It's really focusing on how all of us, as from the day that we're born, have this sense and curiosity to be creative in any way, you know. It doesn't need to be like just like, you know, like painting or photography. Like you can like doodle, you can cook, you can bake, you can like to like make little clay models or something. It can be anything. It can be like making music, or like, you know, not even like producing music per se, but like, you know, like tapping on things and creating some voices and noises and like, you know, that sense of music. In this book, it's really showing you how important it is to express those. And going back again to the gift of imperfection, it's really talking about, look at it as a hobby. You're not going to earn money out of this. You don't need to. And so you don't need to do it perfectly. You don't need to achieve a certain goal of like creating the best whatever, but it's just to express yourself and have that energy to just going through you. And the thing that I really enjoyed about it was that, like, you know, the book, it's like broken down into like different pieces, and there are some like short tips, longer chapter, and so it's really easy to sort of follow it through and like read a little bit and then sort of think about it, that how it can affect you on your daily basis. So and again, like another thing that this book really points out is that like art and being artistic, it's not something that like just a certain group has. It's something that we're all born with it, and we have it in us. And so it's really important to tap into that energy and express it and give it an outlet. So anyway, it's a fantastic book. I highly recommend it. I think it will be a nice read to sort of give you an idea of setting new goals or different goals for your year. And then last but not least, I wanted to end this video and this list with a book that it's a little bit more about, it's still a goal, but also about action. And that is A Bigger Picture, My Fight to Bring a New African Voice to the Climate Crisis by Vanessa Nakate. This is a fantastic read. This is such a moving story and call to action, really. It's a book about Vanessa and her sort of struggles and also actions for bringing in the voice of African and Africa really to the discussion of climate change. And I find it very, very important because, especially like at the moment with the fire in California, the snowstorm that it's happening on the east side, and you know, a lot of storms that's happening around the world in general, and the typhoons and everything, we all know, or hopefully, that climate change, it's happening and it's here, and it's going to affect us so much more every single day. And this book, it's sort of, well, it's talking about how that she's trying to bring her voice and her people's voice to this sort of discussion that it's happening around climate change. It also gives you this idea, or at least for me was it, to how you can be that voice as well, how you can, and again, like it is never requires big actions. If you can do it, fantastic, go for it. But it's also about like little things that you can do, that you can help, that you can spread awareness, you know, to help another person to be able to speak up. So anyway, I thought that it would be another book that it will give you an idea of a different goal for yourself for this year, to sort of look at the list of goals that you're like making for yourself every year, and maybe this one will be one that you added again, you added for the first time this year. And it's just, I found this book so just inspiring, and so I really wanted to include it because I felt like the topic of climate change is very important, and it should be something that for all of us in different way, in any way that like we can, to include it in our like yearly list of goals of how to help to do better or whatnot. And this book will be helpful for that, I hope so. So anyway, those were the books. I hope you enjoy them. I hope that we all look back at the year by the end of the year and will be very happy and satisfied with what we achieved. Hopefully we will be able to check as many things as we can. It does not need to be perfect, and just feel that we made some change. And again, the change could be for the bigger picture, could be for our lives, could be for like little things, but as long as we feel happy and satisfied with it, that's all it matters. And till the next video, happy reading.